Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Susan Maranov Zausner, and I have the privilege of being president here at the Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum. And on behalf of our trustees and our colleagues, I welcome you here today as we commemorate Veterans Day. You know, this last 24 hours has been remarkable here at Intrepid. Last night, we had the opportunity to honor veterans and current service members at our gala, which was taking place in this very room with 675 people who supported and allowed us to use Intrepid and Celebrity as a platform to spread awareness about the invisible wounds of war. And now today, we celebrate and commemorate on Veterans Day, one of the most important days for the museum and for our country. We set aside today to pay tribute to those who have served our nation in uniform and to remind them that their commitment, their sacrifice, and their will to protect our freedom is never taken for granted. And we know that this is the right place to hold this ceremony. This proud vessel on which we stand today served as home to 55,000 crew members over its 31 years of service. So this is tradition, and it's because it's the truth. We know that there is nothing more inspiring to us than those who we call our own heroes here at the museum, the men who served aboard this great ship. So if I may ask all of our former crew members of the USS Intrepid who are here with us today, please stand, please be recognized for your service, and please remain standing. Now, as you remain standing, may I also ask all military personnel and veterans who are here with us to stand alongside them and be recognized. Now, over the last couple of years, for COVID and for other reasons, we've lost several of our former crew members, and it has been heartbreaking. And just recently, we lost Joe Litchauer, who is a beloved former crew member, a beloved colleague to all of us, and just a true, wonderful, good soul. It is a privilege and an honor to have his family with us here today. And if we can all just take a moment of silence in honor of Joe and in honor of all of those who we have lost over the last several years, please with me. I thank you. Please be seated. Thank you for being here today. I am very pleased to welcome some special guests as they will join me on stage. The co-chairman of the Intrepid Museum, Mr. Bruce Mosler. The Lieutenant Governor of the State of New York, Mr. Brian Benjamin. And the Chief of Navy Reserve, Vice Admiral John Mustin. In a few moments, we will also be welcoming the Commissioner of the New York City Department of Veterans Services, Lieutenant Colonel James Hendon. He is actually at another event also giving back and paying tribute to our veterans. So if we can also just pay a thank you to Bank of America, who is an incredible sponsor of ours. And what Bank of America does is they underwrite the opportunity for all veterans and all serving to come into the ship for free. So that's pretty great. And thank you to Bank of America. If you will rise again with me for our national anthem. you. Please be seated. So Intrepid, in its time of active service, was remarkable. It was engaged in World War II, the Cold War, the Vietnam War, and the space race. It was decommissioned in 1974. It became a museum in 1982, and it was designated as a National Historic Landmark in 1986. And the ship continues to serve today. For 39 years, Intrepid has served as the centerpiece of the Intrepid Museum complex, a leading cultural institution here in New York City. It's dedicated to the intersection of history and innovation, one that offers educational and programmatic learning opportunities to every population. And it is our privilege and our duty to protect, preserve, and perpetuate the living history of the ship and the legacy of those who served aboard. In everything we do, we strive to be welcoming and inclusive for all. I'm particularly proud of the extensive programming for veterans and their families. We offer military family programs that provide a safe space and a supportive museum experience for returning service members and veterans to build community and ease the transition back home. Our Intrepid After Hours program provide exclusive access to explore the museum, as well as an opportunity for veterans to share their own military experiences with each other. And our vet video chats facilitate social connections for veterans who cannot physically visit the museum. And our commitment to all of these programs for all of you is unwavering. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to introduce the co-chairman of the Intrepid Museum. He is chairman of global brokerage of Cushman & Wakefield and helped to launch Cushman & Wakefield's own veterans hiring platform, known as the C&W Military and Veterans Programs. He served as chairman of the Business Executives for National Security and currently serves as chairman emeritus on its executive committee, along countless other civic and charitable organizations. Please welcome co-chairman, Mr. Bruce Mosler.
Well, good afternoon. Tough act following our CEO, Susan Maranov. But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, members of our military, in particular our Gold Star families, distinguished guests, Lieutenant Governor, Admiral, privileged to be here today on this sacred day on the flight deck of this storied ship. The ship that in 31 years of active duty served in some of the hardest fought naval engagements of World War II, later in the Vietnam War, then with NATO forces in the Cold War, Mediterranean, and North Atlantic. And as Susan already mentioned, as a recovery ship for space missions. And yet again, and few people know this, but I will bring it up, as a museum, post 9/11, she was the temporary headquarters for the FBI, serving yet again for another mission. So ladies and gentlemen, it is more than appropriate that we gather here on this ship to honor our veterans. Commissioner, appreciate you coming as always and all that you do for this city. So we're here today to thank you, all of you, for your past service, because you represent the half of the 1% who, when our nation has faced an hour of need, have stepped forward to protect our people and our freedom, which we do not take for granted. When the word has gone out and the question was asked, who will go for us? Who shall we send? The answer consistently by the half of the 1% has been, send me. Send me. I will go. This year, we mark the 20th year now, the end of the longest war in our nation's history. But it is critical that we remember those who have served honorably, heroically, unflinchingly in that engagement, and that we affirm and show our gratitude for their success in protecting our nation from any further attacks that surely would have come had that half of the 1% not stepped forward. To all of those men and women, we say you made a deeply meaningful difference in the life and course of our nation. Today we remember and we honor your sacrifices. So thank you. Thank you for that. And to the many employers who are here, let me add that as we all move forward, let us in particular go beyond just saying thank you for those who have or are serving, as essential as saying thank you is. Let us make an effort, a strong effort, to hire our veterans, not for charitable purposes, but because these men and women have developed and displayed the characteristics of leaders, collaborators, innovators, solvers of problems when under stress in particular. So they are very well prepared to fit into and reinforce the standards and performance and the culture of excellence that are present in so many of our corporate organizations. It is one of the enduring truths of time and space that America is a beacon of hope, opportunity, freedom, and human dignity for so many everywhere around the world. That America is something extraordinary. So we must continuously strive to be a more perfect union, and we do. But as long as we are moving together, true to our ideals, our eyes set towards a better future, the hope, the admiration, the prayers of people seeking freedom throughout the world go with us. So with that, I say to our veterans, past and active duty, thank you. God bless you all, and God bless America.
Sorry, it's a little tight. I am now pleased to introduce a great friend of the Intrepid Museum. He was appointed to lead the New York City Department of Veterans Services in 2019. Previously, he served as director of the NYU Veterans Future Lab, a small business incubator for practicing and aspiring entrepreneurs, who are U.S. military veterans and their spouses. Before entering the civilian workforce, he spent 7 years in the U.S. Army as an active duty infantry officer deployed in Iraq and Afghanistan, and worked as an admissions officer for West Point, from which he graduated. As a drilling U.S. Army reservist, he acts as the New York City lead for the 75th Innovation Command Commissioner James Hendon, who also knows how to enter beautifully and right on your moment. And we're grateful, so thank you. And may I say, the reason, right, is because there's such a competition in such a good way with so many programs for veterans, and it's important that you show your time and effort to all of them. So we're grateful that you're here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. As was mentioned, my name is James Hendon. I serve as Commissioner for the New York City Department of Veterans Services. And I just got to start by saying happy, happy, happy Veterans Day, everybody. Let's just give that a round of itself, you know? All right, so I want to start with some honors and salutations, recognizing key people in the room. Just every single veteran who has served on this vessel, on the Intrepid. If you've served on the Intrepid, put a hand up, please. All right, let's give them a round right here. Come on. Yep. Thank you so much. Next, of course, the magnanimous and incredible and amazing Susan Maranov Zausner, president of the Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum. Bruce Mosley, co-chairman of the Intrepid Museum and CEO, president emeritus, and current chairman of global brokerage for Cushman and Wakefield. Come on. Yeah. Vice Admiral John Mustin, chief of the Naval Reserve. Lieutenant Governor Brian Benjamin, Lieutenant Governor of the state of New York. And last but not least, every single person I didn't mention, every single person who has served in the military or who supports those who've served. Please give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you. On behalf of the 210,808 veterans who call this city home, and y'all, the Air Force is the featured branch, I have to say this, that 20,238 of those veterans are Air Force, recognizing our featured branch. As I mentioned, happy Veterans Day. We run these numbers beyond the 210,808. If you look at the 12 major conflicts throughout the history of this country, take all the Indian Wars, and as the VA does it, everything from 1817 to 1896 within those Indian Wars is one conflict. So you look at these 12 major conflicts and you see the 44.9 million Americans have served in the military during times of war. That number explodes if you look at those who just served in peacetime. And if you drill deeper down that, out of the 44,892,128 people who served, 966,883 made the ultimate sacrifice, lost their lives in combat activities. Of the 44.9 million who've served, 9,084 are still missing in action, estimated more than 7,500 in Korea, as far as the Korean War, and another 1,584 of our comrades in Vietnam who are still MIA. The depth of what is given by those who put this uniform on, it is incalculable, it is immeasurable, it is beyond words. And I tell you, and I would hope others here would agree, there is a sacrifice that is made as soon as you raise your right hand. I just came from an event where I told them what unites us regardless of service is every single one of us puts our hands up, and at some point our oath is the words, serve, to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, for all of us. So whatever beef there is between this branch and that branch, or I've heard horror stories about Marines versus sailors on boats. That's a whole other thing in this job. I get, it's we all are in this thing together, and we all make a sacrifice, be it a physical sacrifice, be it a material sacrifice, be it a spiritual sacrifice, be it a mental sacrifice. And all that people like Susan, Bruce, the Vice Admiral, Lieutenant Governor, and I, and everyone tries to do in this tapestry of services is try to make folks whole for what was lost. Whole in any way that we can. Everything from what we do at the New York City Department of Veteran Services on issues ranging from housing to healthcare to benefits to culture to employment to education, entrepreneurship, to the great work that Susan, Bruce, and the entire team at the Intrepid does, being right by veterans and their children, both remotely and in person and on the jobs front. All of us are trying to make up that gap, but we can never fully make it up. So on days like today, where a lot of what's happened today, it falls in the words category, not the deeds, but it's something. Between the ceremonies, the parades, the breakfasts, the wreath layings, the speeches, we're just trying to just show you how grateful we are for what you've done and how appreciative you are. And so it's impossible for us to make these things up, but know that all of us, it's not just me, I'm speaking of about 333 million Americans who feel the same way. And folks from other countries. At that parade today, we had other countries here marching alongside of us because of the things we do to support life, liberty, happiness abroad. And so all of us are in your corner working for you in all the ways that we can. And I just want to end on two quotes. One is Claudia Pemberton, America without her soldiers will be like God without his angels. Say it again, it's America without her soldiers will be like God without his angels. And if I could amend it, I would just make sure we call out our caregivers too, the families too, who in the foxhole with all of you too. We appreciate everybody. And the other quote, goodness, I was running so fast, I wanted to bring it with me. It's back where I was right before the parade today. I was just walking down the street before we took off, and somebody walked up to me and they handed me a card that their child had made. I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, so I know about this. A lot of people know about this with young kids. They make the cards out of a piece of paper. And the card, the front of it, had a picture of a flag. Child would be by the handwriting, I'd say somewhere between 6 and 8. Some of these words weren't right, but they were doing what they did. And the front had the picture of the flag, and it said to the military, and in white crayon it said thank you. And then you open it and it says, dear veteran, thank you for your service to our country. We appreciate all you have done to keep us safe and free. Thank you for fighting for us, from Miguel. And I just think there's no better way to end this than to just call it out as far as the thank you. It goes deep. Everybody is in the corner with you, just trying to say how much we appreciate you and we love you and we understand freedom's not free. And that being said, God bless you. God bless the city of New York, and God bless America. And happy Veterans Day. Thank you.
Oh my God, that is amazing energy, and what a great tribute, and thank you again for being here. It is my pleasure to introduce and welcome to Intrepid the 78th Lieutenant Governor of New York State, appointed by Governor Kathy Hochul this past September. Previously, he served as a New York State Senator for District 30, which encompasses Harlem, East Harlem, and the Upper West Side, where he served as the chair of the Budget and Revenue Committee. Acting President Officer and Senior Assistant Majority Leader, please welcome Lieutenant Governor Brian Benjamin.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Susan, Bruce, Commissioner Hendon, Vice Admiral Mustin, all those who served on the Intrepid, and all veterans who are here today, including all family members who, in my opinion, also paid a price, because I can tell you, as a lieutenant governor, former senator, my wife is on this road with me as well. We have a young child
who's 3, and then we have a 2-week-old. And every day I'm out doing what I do, she's a part of it. So I just want to also acknowledge all of the family members as well. And let me just say very briefly, I would not be standing here if it wasn't for the service of our military. This is why I think Veterans Day is such an important day, because it's a moment where some of us who are always running around, always too busy, can take the time to acknowledge and recognize how we got here. How we are able to live the lives we live is because of the work that you have done and so many others have done after and before you. And I just want to say, on behalf of Governor Kathy Hochul and myself, thank you for your service to our country. Thank you for recognizing that the price of freedom sometimes involves those of us who are strong enough and willing to put their bodies on the line to protect what we have here in this country. You know, I was mentioned I'm from Harlem, and one of the things I'm very involved in is a group called the Harlem Hellfighters. We're part of the 369th Regiment, and they fought very hard in World War I and fought over there. And when they came back to a country that didn't welcome them. And one of the things that I was proud to fight for is to help them get the Congressional Gold Medal posthumously. We just got that accomplished so that their families and their loved ones can get that moment of respect from this country. And it is the right thing to do, as it is also the right thing to do to fight on this issue of veteran homelessness. I feel it is unconscionable that we live in a city, a state, and a country where there are people who have served our country, who come back to this country and do not have a place to live that is their own. Every one of us should be taking the clothes off our backs to help make sure that anyone who fought on our behalf, so that we can have the freedoms and the comforts that we have here, that when they come home, they have the dignity and respect that's due to them, and we cannot continue to have anyone homeless. Let me say it's been an honor over the last month and a half to serve as Lieutenant Governor, and we have been fighting on this very issue. I was just in Long Island, Suffolk County, where we have been investing in the Housing for Our Homeless Heroes program, helping to provide not only homes for our homeless heroes, but also supportive services. As you know, there are so many issues that those of some of our veterans are dealing with. And we have to be, for those who need it, because obviously some don't, but for those who need it, we have to invest the resources and the time and the effort to make sure that they know that we love them and that we're going to make sure that they live a great life when they come back home. Secondly, just today, Governor Kathy Hochul signed a number of bills to support our veterans, but one that is very important to me was a bill that requires any intake forms for veterans who come to a homeless shelter, a nursing home, or assisted living facility, that there is a requirement that we ask about their whether they served in the military or if they have family members who served in the military. One of the reasons why that's so important is because one of the things that I've found is that so many of our military veterans are so proud, never want to put their hand out, always saying, what can I do for you? Not what we can do for them. And I am committed and will work closely with the governor to ensure that we do as much for our veterans, particularly those in need, as you have done for us. And that's the kind of administration you can expect out of our governor's office. And we'll be working very closely with Commissioner Hendon and the mayor's team to ensure that we are coordinated in how we are providing the appropriate supports for those who have served in our military services. So let me just say, happy Veterans Day. But no, I'm not just here for a ceremony and to smile and take pictures. this administration is going to do everything we can to deliver on the ground in real ways that help to make sure that we not just celebrate you on Veterans Day, but we celebrate you every day that we live on this earth. Because of you, we are here. And so I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for everything you've done for our country, and we got your back. Thank you very much.
Lieutenant Governor, thank you so much. And we are truly pleased that you were able to be here today. So we appreciate your support. It is my honor to introduce an exceptional leader and a patriot. A native of Alexandria, Virginia, and a graduate of the U.S. Naval Academy, he became the 15th Chief of Navy Reserve in August 2020. As Commander, Navy Reserve Force, he leads approximately 59,000 reserve component personnel who support the Navy, Marine Corps, and Joint Forces. In his distinguished career, he has been awarded the Defense Superior Service Medal, the Legion of Merit, Meritorious Service Medal, the Navy Commendation Medal, and Navy Achievement Medal, among many others. Please join me in welcoming Vice Admiral John Mustin. Thank you so much.
Great to be here.
Well, thank you for the very warm introduction. I am truly honored to be here today on behalf of the Navy and our Joint Force, and certainly the community of veterans that I'm able to represent. Susan, thank you for inviting me to join you today. We're getting a lot of quality time together recently, which is very special. Likewise, it's great to see Bruce again. Again, the last 24 hours have been very special. We've had a number of engagements together. Commissioner, it's wonderful to see you. I enjoyed your remarks this morning as well. It was great. And then certainly the Lieutenant Governor, all four of whom are tireless advocates on behalf of veterans, and I appreciate all of your efforts. So thank you all very much. It's encouraging and inspiring for me to welcome our distinguished hosts and all the attendees, and particularly all of our veterans, including the former crew members of USS Intrepid, and all of you who are here to commemorate and honor our veterans across this great country. This federal holiday marks a solemn occasion. It's a day set aside for memories, for reflection, prayer, and to give thanks to all Americans who have served, or those who are serving, and whether they served in the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines, the Space Force, and the Coast Guard, in times of war or times of peace. And we pay due respect to those Americans who have passed the torch of liberty from one generation to the next, particularly those who made the ultimate sacrifice in the service of this great nation. I'd like to offer a quick refresher to explain how we got here today. Veterans Day originated as Armistice Day on November 11th, 1919, the first anniversary of the end of World War I, known as the Great War at the time, or the War to End All Wars. Congress passed a resolution in 1926 for an annual observance, and November 11th became a national holiday beginning in 1938. To this day, Veterans Day occurs on November 11th every year in the United States in honor of the 11th hour on the 11th day of the 11th month of 1918 that signaled the armistice, which was the end of hostilities during World War I. In 1954, President Eisenhower officially changed the holiday from Armistice Day to Veterans Day, effectively commemorating veterans of all wars. So now, more than a century since the establishment of this day of reflection, in 2021, we recognize the honorable service of our men and women in uniform, spanning the arc of our nation's history. We honor those who step forward to defend our fellow citizens and the country that they love. We commemorate those who shouldered great responsibility, living up to the highest standards of duty with a personal example of honor, courage, and commitment. And finally, today, we thank them all. And for today's attendees, I thank you for being a part of this meaningful occasion. Observed aboard this proud ship, whose crew fought courageously in the Pacific in World War II, specifically earning battle stars during the Battle of Leyte Gulf, the largest naval battle in history, during which she survived multiple kamikaze and torpedo attacks, with follow-on continuous service for decades. She served and continues to serve by honoring our heroes, by educating the public, and by inspiring our youth. And for sailors like me, this proud lady improves the aesthetic of the Hudson River Park, providing a bridge from our great past to our bright future. She is testament to the resilience of all veterans and is rightfully a New York City landmark, an iconic symbol of and for New York veterans. Today, New York City, you've heard, is home to over 210,000 veteran service members and their families. I'd wager that every one of you knows someone who served, And those connections span multiple generations: grandparents, parents, siblings, children, nieces, nephews, cousins, and dear friends. They are the defenders of our nation and the protectors of our liberty and our way of life. To members of all services here today, we are each uniquely connected by our shared experiences, our shared service, and our shared commitment to this great country. 2 decades ago, the deadliest terrorist attack in history was perpetrated against our country, initiated only 4 miles south of us, straight down the West Side Highway at the World Trade Center complex. The nation and the world would never be the same. The cowardly acts of 9/11 catapulted our nation and our allies into a protracted global war on terrorism. And as they have for 2.5 centuries, America's servicemen and women, active and reserve, valiantly answered the nation's call. Today, we are aggressively transitioning our military focus from 2 decades of land-based counterinsurgency, counterterrorism efforts to prepare instead for long-term strategic competition with nation-state peer adversaries. Let me be very clear. Based on historical norms, today's security environment is increasingly competitive, faster paced, and more complex than even a short 5 years ago. We see provocative behavior in the Arabian Gulf, the South China Sea, the Red Sea, the Arctic, the Baltic, the Crimean Peninsula, the Korean Peninsula, as well as the critical international choke points where the free flow of commerce is necessary to maintain international trade and global markets. As I speak, tens of thousands of America's finest young men and women from all branches of service are defending us, both domestically and abroad. Around the clock, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We ask so much of them and their families, and they are proud of what they do, and I am proud of them. I'm also proud to share that your armed forces are ready for the challenges that the future holds. To deter, certainly, and defeat, if necessary, the complex and unpredictable threats that lie ahead of us. In doing so, your armed forces will maintain primacy on, below, and above the sea, in the air, across the land, in space, and in the cyber domain in defense of our nation. Along the way, strengthening strategic partnerships and sustaining a strong, diverse, and healthy force, and generating predictable, enduring readiness to respond to provocation if challenged. They are the most capable military in the history of the world. You have much to be proud of. I'd like to close today with a quote from President John F. Kennedy. We celebrate this Veterans Day for a very few minutes, a few seconds of silence, and then this country's life goes on. But I think it's most appropriate that we recall on this occasion and on every other moment when we are faced with great responsibilities, the contribution and the sacrifice which so many individuals and their families have made in order to permit this country to now occupy its present position and freedom. To our veterans, young and old, thank you for serving as an inspiration to the nation. Your sacrifice enables our families to stand here today and bear the prosperous fruit of our strong, proud nation. And for all of us here today on this solemn day of recognition and reflection, may God bless our veterans and their families. May God bless our servicemen and women standing the watch, protecting our freedom. And may God continue to bless the United States of America. Thank you. All right.
Sir, thank you so much again for being here yesterday, for your wonderful words and important words. So Veterans Day is set aside to salute our veterans from every branch of the military and honor their service commitment and patriotism. And we would be remiss, however, if we did not also remember those who have made the supreme sacrifice for our country. So today we will lay a memorial wreath in the waters of the Hudson River to honor all who have selflessly given their lives to protect our freedom. So I do ask for the moment if you will stay seated while I ask Bruce Mosler, Commissioner Hendon, Lieutenant Governor Benjamin, and Admiral Mustin to join us in the wreath-laying ceremony. And the wreath will be presented by Intrepid former crew members Stu Gelband, Mike Hallahan, and I would like to have a member of the Lichauer family present as well. If you can decide who will go, and if you can proceed outside. Karen? Go. Okay.
This way.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any steps.
And if you want to proceed, if you do want to go outside for it, please do. And we can conclude outside.
Hey, Mike, can you turn your shoulder, Mike, please?
Hold 1 second, we're waiting on Susan.
Mike, can you get it behind the wreath a little bit? Thank you.
Thank you.
Pan up to Somerset, and you can hold it to there.